In this video, we will be targeting Grayling diamonds. If this video helps you catch your diamond, please remember to give it a like. Come back and leave a comment. Let me know you were successful. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Here's my latest catch green from the primary location, right kidney pond. First fish at 2200. Here's a diamond and a huge one. Here's a gold, another gold. You may get the occasional eyed here with the rod holders. Here's another gold. Last fish at 22:27. That's 27 minutes. 3 gold grayling, 1 diamond. Here is an example from the KPD Tree River. First fish at 21:33. Here's a diamond. Here's another one. Last fish at 23:05. That's 1 hour 32 minutes. 2 diamonds. Here is my latest catch green. This is at the waterfall using a bronze hook. First fish at 15:09. Here's a diamond. Here's another one. Very slow bite rate, as you can see, with big gaps. Last fish at 17:44. That's 2 hours, 35 minutes, 2 diamonds. Let's take a quick look at the grayling. For the traits, they are hard fighters, and combined with last stand, might indicate stronger gear, but they're pretty small fish, so it really isn't much of a problem. They are jumpers. Keep your eyes open for a big one. If you see it jump, target it. And they are sun lovers, so we are going to be fishing during daylight hours. For the bait and lure preferences, not a lot of options. That makes it very tough to narrow these down. We are primarily going to stick with eggs, but I'll show you one situation where you can also gold hook with redworm. And don't forget pro performance to attract them. The maximum grayling is 6.39 pounds. So I am going to use the Genesis match rod, match our float only. It's 6.61. Now you certainly don't need to use this. You can use any float capable rod that you like, but I like to make it a little easy. If you want higher score, go down to something like 4 pound here, and that'll give you a pretty tough fight. Again, I'm using 6 pound on the fluorocarbon. Use the waggler bobber to move less in the current. For your in hand, you're going to want size 6 for most locations. And eggs, make sure you've got a size 7 for the waterfall. And then you can see I also have 2 other similar rigs, same setup here. Again, the waggler bobber, but I do have size 5 hook. That is gold for the grayling. And redworm, this can only be used in the right kidney pond. So if you want to use rod holders in the other location, you should have extra size 6 hooks for these 2 setups. And then for bait feeding, you only need your hand and lots of pro performance bait balls. Starting from the main outpost, let's take a look at the locations that I'm going to cover straight across. Here is my boat. You see we are at the center lake. And here is my diamond grayling marker. This is the one I call Waterfall. Then we're going to go straight down from the center lake. Here is KPD Tree River. KPD Tree because, as you can see, Calais Paul the Dominator spawns here and can frequently be caught right at this river mouth. So here's the second spot. And then let's go over to the kidney ponds. And you see these are below the far right lake. Here is left kidney pond. And you can see why they're called that. And here is the diamond marker on the right kidney pond. For Grayling Diamonds, I am going to show 4 different locations. Here is the primary one called Right Kidney Pond, and you want to start in a daytime server, fish from noon until 6 p.m., and then reset to a new daytime server. For your gear, your in-hand rig should be a float fishing rig with size 6 hook that is silver with eggs. And then for rod holders, you want 2 float fishing rigs with size 5 gold hook and redworm, and use Pro Performance to attract the grayling. And upcoming next are the rest of the locations. For the other 3 locations, Waterfall and Left Kidney Pond start in a morning server. KPD Tree River start daytime. For your time windows, Waterfall and Left Kidney, that is 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then restart. KPD Tree River, 12 p.m. or noon to 6 p.m. and then restart. For your gear at the Waterfall, you're going to need a float fishing rig with size 7, that is bronze, with eggs. For the other 2 locations, you're going to want to use the same thing, float fishing rig, except for switch to size 6 hook, that is silver, with eggs. And then optionally, if you want to, you can have rod holders, a couple more float fishing rigs with size 6 silver and eggs. Watch each technique section where I recommend which to use what. And don't forget Pro Performance for bait feeding. I recommend a daytime start for my favorite hotspot. Special thanks to Shady Logos for recommending this one. And this is the Right Kidney Pond. You can see where my Jeep is. Now you have to drive this around this way to get to it, because this is a walking bridge only. Might be a spot in here somewhere. I've never tested it that's shallow enough. It's not too awful bad getting around there. And then just to backtrack, up here is where you're going to need to spawn a Jeep. And again, I am at the far right, underneath the far right lake, at this right kidney pond. This is the best grayling bite rate in the game that I can find. Grab your hand, make sure you are set to Pro Performance. Didn't need to jump, but that's fine. Just a half toss over there. Another one over here. And I'm going to grab my rod holder setups. You see there, they are 5 redworm. Put that out there. Put one by this one. Put them in the rod holders. And then I am going to grab my in-hand size 6 with eggs, and I'm going to put it near the bait ball that I threw first. The first one's going to get most of the fish, but they can certainly go to the other one as well. And then it's just a matter of waiting. Now the trade-off on this one, it is by far the most consistent grayling bite I can find after tons and tons of testing. And you can see we've got multiple hitting it there. Going to be a silver. The trade-off is, I think the diamond spawn percentage might be a little lower here, but I certainly get plenty of them here. And the other one being, you will get the occasional eyed. I can see one, that's one swimming right there, on that redworm. but that's okay. No big deal. This is a great spot if you need your diamond eyed. You see my marker there. Obviously, we're targeting Grayling. But you can switch to cheese, use high impact, and sit over there. Watch my eyed diamond guide for the details on that one. Another silver Grayling. Not going to spend a ton of time here because I am showing 4 different locations, which is very unusual. But getting a consistent bite rate for Grayling is tough. Bigger silver. But this is the primary spot. I think the best. So I want to spend a little bit of time. All right, you saw bait balls have expired. About every 3 bait balls, let's see where the float is. It's still pretty close. Make sure you pick this up. These things will move. It doesn't look like there's much current. This one will move over this way. It'll get all the way up to the island if you let it set. And it's doing nothing for you. Just going to refresh these. Got one biting. Let's see. This one's moved over a bit, but that's the line. That's not actually the bobber. Got 30 seconds on that rod holder. Let's see if we got a Grayling or one of those eyes. This looks like a gold Grayling to me. Could be a small eyed. Yep, small eyed. You see the huge difference in the fin. So the eyes just have the small one. They're shiny, silver, and the Grayling, of course, are gray. So you put that back out. It's a good idea. I forgot to do it, but to alternate which one you throw first. I did throw this one again. One thing to remember, if you hop back, and don't do this, start at noon, stay here until you run out. Use the back of the Jeep to restock if you need to. So make sure you've stocked that up, but you don't want to change your environment from that noon start. But if you go back and then you need to come back after a fishing session, don't forget that you won't be able to see that Jeep if you are too far away. So if you're over at the main outpost, way over here, you go back to restock, then what you have to do is hop back to that trailhead, do the fast travel, and then you will see the Jeep. Of course, I can see it right now because I'm here, but if I were at that outpost, I wouldn't see it. So as you see, very solid bite right here. Not the case at most other spots. For Grayling, and the really nice thing about this spot, no brown trout, so we can use those 5 redworm, and the eyed are not attracted to the pro performance, so it doesn't cause them to spawn in. If they happen to be spawned in anyways, they may find their way over, but it's not super common. Not enough to be a nuisance. All right, so that's really all there is to this spot. Let's jump to the next one. Now we are going to explore the left kidney pond, and for this location, you want a morning server start. Here we are at the left kidney pond. You see my Jeep. Again, this is under the far right lake. Here is the trailhead fast travel. Grab your Jeep, drive it down this path, and you park right by this river mouth. We are going to use this section of rocky shore. Can't really call it a beach. And I need to change my setup. So one of my rod holder rigs, I'm going to find a size 6 and eggs. And we only really need 2. So I'll explain that in just a second. So going to put one out here. Put it in the rod holder. Put your Pro Performance out. Half cast with the hand. Just checking to make sure that didn't snap back. Thought I saw a line. Put another one out here right in the middle of the river mouth. Grab another one of the size 6 with eggs. Now, unfortunately, this side of the kidney pond has a ton of Arctic char and brown trout. So we can't use those 5-hook, gold hook red worm, and there's no way to eliminate those other than the eggs. So we're going to stick to the 6 eggs, silver hook. And you could certainly put a third one in the middle, but because we don't have any opportunity to change hook sizes for a gold hook or diamond hook, I just stick with the 2. There really isn't any point in using the third one. And this spot was my favorite before Shady Logos mentioned the other kidney pond. This is the one where I've caught the most diamonds. You could, if you wanted to, go with a small spinner and cast through here, but you're going to get Arctic char and brown trout. Not necessarily a bad thing to pull them out of the loot pool. But you can already see, especially with the early morning start, nothing like the bite rate at the right side. At this spot, it's fine to fast travel up until about, I'd say, 9 or 10 a.m. That will get you to an optimal environment. Here's a silver. So if you're just not getting any bite rates, what I recommend you do, any bite, I should say, is just fast travel back to your Jeep. That will completely reset the fish spawn in the area. And I do that at this spot when the bite dies, like I said, up until 9, no later than 10. And there those expire. So same as the last. Make sure, because I can see that line. I'm not sure if it snapped or not. Let's see if we see. No, it's out there. Make sure that you pull these in every few bait balls. Reset them up. You can see the float out there, because they will drift up to the shore. Let's see if this one's moving up the river. Yeah, I can't see the float, so that may just be the line, but I've watched the float go up the river in the past. It's pretty wild. Just refresh those occasionally and keep shooting the bait balls out there. Let's move on to the next spot. I recommend a daytime start for the KPD Tree River. Just as a reminder where it is, we are directly below the central lake. What I recommend you do is grab a Jeep from here and you take it across this path to get over here. Now you can see I'm in a boat. You can also fish from shore with rod holders. All I'm going to do is toss out some Pro Performance towards that rock and put my in-hand 6 eggs at the bait ball. Now this spot generally does not have a great bite rate. Very hit or miss. Sometimes you'll get some fish quick, and sometimes it's just dead as can be, but it does spawn the diamond on a fairly regular basis. So we got a pretty quick hit there. Just going to be a small silver. We'll put it back and keep on going. While we're waiting, let me show you a diamond I just caught here. And you'll notice the habitat towards the bottom shows upriver. So we know that's where it's spawning from, up towards that waterfall, not out in the lake. But that said, I did a lot of testing up and down that riverbank, and this is the ideal spot to catch them. Right around the rock, big rock you see on the right and the rock you see on the left. And if you want to set up a couple of rod holders, you can. The bite rate here was so small that I just didn't find it worth the time. I was just using a lot of extra bait balls for little to no benefit. I think the single bait ball from the boat will work just fine. And you can see, looks like we're probably just going to get the one fish from the bait ball. Oh, there's another one. We'll pull that in. Another small silver. Nothing more to this spot. You're just going to keep feeding bait balls and putting your bait there and hope that you get a decent bite rate. Now we're off to the waterfall, and we want to start in a morning server. And you can see I'm in my boat right here. This is the middle lake. And what I recommend you do is fast travel to this trailhead, grab a boat, drive up into this area. This is also a Store Henrik spawn spot. You see my marker. I like to park just a little ways away from that waterfall. And you want to grab your Pro Performance again. And I put it just about a half throw. And then for this spot, we need to change our in hand. There's a 7 to 7 eggs. And then what I do here is forward only half cast. So it goes about the distance up into that waterfall. And then you just let it drift back. Now with this current, it doesn't take long. You can if you really want to. Oh, there's a bite. Nibble, I should say, and now a bite. Looks like a silver. So this is bronze hook. So we are going to deal with small fish, but of the spots, this is a pretty abysmal bite rate, as you saw in the latest catch section. Even with the bronze hook, it takes a while. However, this spot does spawn the diamond reasonably often. So just keep half casting, forward only half casting, back up into that waterfall. That's about where I parked my boat. so that the half cast goes up into it. So as I was saying, you could use rod holders from here and here. I tested that a lot. And to be honest with you, the current makes it no fun. And you're already bronze hooking. And you can't use anything bigger. So there's no real advantage. If you go to a 6, you will start getting destroyed by Atlantic salmon that will hit those eggs. They don't hit the 7, but they will hit the 6. So putting multiple bronze rigs up just served no point when I tested it. It was just a headache because of the current. So that's why I don't use rod holders here. No real point. You don't have to use the boat. You could use a single rig from shore. Use a 7 hook. If you wanted to be really ambitious, you could run back up and down with a couple of 7s in. Like I said, I tried it. I didn't find much benefit to it, but you certainly can if you want. And that's all there is to this spot. Refresh that bait ball. That was a little stronger than I wanted, but that's okay. And you can see, even with the waggler, it moves down to that chum pretty quickly. If the bite rate dies, you are clear to fast travel back to your boat. Honestly, doesn't matter too much in this spot. You can do it all the way up past noon if you want to. And I find that to be pretty necessary in this spot because that bite rate is just abysmal. So if you go 2 or 3 bait balls, you don't get anything, then you can try fast traveling to your boat. Nothing more to this one. Stay with the video to watch all the diamonds I caught in the big fish montage. Happy fishing. Have a good one. Please click on the logo bottom left to subscribe to my channel. Check out my other content and don't forget to hit the like button on the video.